What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Rob's Gaming Table. We have our second match here from our Archon tournament held at Board Game Central in Hamilton, Ontario. This video is brought to you by these awesome supporters of the channel that back us over at patreon.com/Rob's Gaming Table. Thank you so much for the support. We have myself on the right. I am Rob of Rob's Gaming Table. On the left, we got Nick. Just a warning, this is a new player video. Nick, I believe, had only played one game of KeyForge before this. So this is kind of a teaching match where I kind of help him out, let him do takebacks, help him learn the rules of the cards. So if you're not into that kind of thing, tune away now. But if you want to just watch me kind of teach a player how to play, Nick was kind enough to allow me to record this match. It's where the camera was set up anyway. And we filmed it. It seems to be okay. But hopefully this can be used as a teaching tool for newer players. And yeah, so I'm playing Dis Shadows and Untamed. And he is playing Untamed, Shadows, and Logos. And I just noticed his card is face up there. I did not look at it all during the game, but I allowed him to leave it like that just so he could look at it in case he wanted to check if he had other copies of cards and stuff. I didn't really care that much. I wasn't playing too competitively here. So I'm teaching him right here. I played the Terror. I got 2 Amber off that as my first card. And he's got the Ring of Invisibility on it, so I'm just teaching him what Elusive and Skirmish are. And he threw it on a Dodger there, who's got a Fight and Steal 1 ability, which is great. So he gained the Amber off of the Ring of Invisibility, which I love that upgrade. I think it's one of my favorite. So you may notice I am touching his cards throughout the game and exhausting his cards and correcting where he's putting Amber and that kind of thing. Like I said, it's a new player. I'm just teaching him how to do it. So if you're offended by those things, I know some of my commenters hate when the opponents touch each other's stuff and people are too aggressive, but I keep in mind I'm teaching him here, so I get aggressive with touching his things and moving tokens around and kind of control the whole board together, making sure everything's aligned. So yeah, tune out if that bothers you. So I play a Nature's Call here named Untamed. I can put up to 3 creatures to their owner's hands. I'll just throw Dodger back there. So he loses that upgrade. Dodger goes back to hand. Makes him have to put him back out again and ready him up to use him again. And now Taliga out there from Untamed. Every time my opponent plays a creature, I gain an Amber. And she is one of my favorite Untamed creatures. And I did warn my opponent there, kill her ASAP. She is going to be a pain in your butt. So he knows. He knows. And like I said, thank Nick for being a good sport and playing. I really encourage new players to go out to those tournaments, show up, buy a deck, open a deck, play. Yeah, you'll get crushed throughout the day probably. But this is the way you're going to learn, right? And you can watch these videos to learn, but nothing's as equivalent as playing in person with actual paper. Crucible is not good enough. You'll develop bad habits playing online with something that corrects your plays and just prompts you with options. I mean, it's a good way to test out a deck, but I don't think it's the best way to learn the game if you're going to go play in person with people. So he threw 2 damage on me on each creature with the Poison Wave. He played that before throwing out Dodger, which was smart. But I do get an Amber off of Taliga's ability when he plays that Dodger. So I'm now up to 4 Amber. He's at 2. I will name Shadows. I'll steal 1 with an Archon. And a routine job, stealing 1, but of course I don't have any other routine job in my discard pile yet, so I'm only going to steal 1. But I believe routine job always comes in pairs in deck lists, so I should be able to play that action again in the future. I don't have any 4 of them in a deck, but I do have a bunch of decks with 2 copies. And Silvertooth coming into play ready, of course, and he's going to reap right away. And I'm up to 7, so that's chickadee check, son. And I'll pass it over to Nick for his turn. So this deck I'm playing, I believe it's called the Cryptic Witch. It's got some good Amber generation, but I like that Taliga in there. Just put pressure on the opponent. There's a lot of little annoying creatures, as you can see already on the board. But it has like, I believe it's Dust Imps that gain Amber when they leave play. I think it's got the, or is it Ember Imp? Ember Imp and Dust Imp. I think it has both in the deck. But yeah, it's just annoying little creatures. Hopefully we'll see some of those as we go through here. And the other thing is, I know you guys are probably thinking I'm crazy. Sorry, just yeah. So I'm just letting him know here, like he needs to understand how you got to name a house before you can use any cards in play, discard them, play them, whatever. So, like I said, new player in a new game. This was only a week after the game came out, so if you're not into that stuff, you know, comment and let us know if we goofed up any rules on any cards or any rules of the game. That's great. That helps out future viewers of the video. But just remind you, I will be teaching them throughout the game here.
But I mean, in general, stealing amber from your opponent still.
Yeah, trying to teach them. Steal is good. It's definitely not bad. Steal is good, and I've learned it's even better as I've played more of this game since this video was recorded. So he's going to go untamed. I reminded him that Taliga is going to give me. Taliga is going to give me an amber, so I'm letting him know, like, if you have a way of killing her, kill her first before he puts in the creatures. But he gets Hunting Witch out there, which gains him an amber every time he plays a creature. So then, I'm not sure which creature that is he's playing. Let's try to figure this out. It is Lupo the Scarred, which looks like a creature from the Lion King. And he's got Skirmish and play, deal 2 damage to an enemy creature. So we're working this out. Definitely active player gets to choose which ability goes off first, Taliga or that. So I'm pretty sure. Let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong. But I take it back. I let him destroy Taliga first because he's active player. He would obviously choose Taliga to die before I gain an amber off of that Lupo creature coming into play. But he gets one off the Hunting Witch for playing a creature. And that's his turn. I forge a key for 6. 2 amber remaining. So we have our first key forged.
And it's the same thing with, like, when you call a house, you can't read either unless you call the house.
Exactly. To use a card in play, you have to name that faction. Okay. So using is like fighting, reaping, or doing an action on the card if he said action.
Okay.
Let's go with...
Looks like I have my second routine job in hand now. But he only has 1 amber, so that's not the juiciest play. I wouldn't get 2 amber out of it, so I may save that. So I am going to save it and play Dis. I'll do a Mind Barb, which I'll get an amber off that, and I'll hit his hand for a random discard. And there goes an Urchin. That's a nice hit. Saves me from losing an amber.
Screaming Cave into play. It's an artifact. Has an action that I can do later when it's ready. I can use it to do the action. Shuffle your hand and discard pile into your deck.
So I like Screaming Cave. Allows me to, as you just heard, shuffle my hand and discard pile back on my deck. So if I get a bunch of good stuff out of my deck early in the game, I can shuffle it back in, including a crappy hand, which I like it for doing that. We got Dominator Bauble out there. Lets me use a friendly creature. A Terror coming into play, but he already has an amber, so I don't gain 2. And there's that Dust Imp I was talking about. So the Dust Imp's the one destroyed. You gain 2 amber. So the Terror is going to fight the Hunting Witch. I need to get him out of play ASAP. I don't need him bombing characters on the board and gaining amber off of it. And my Terror is 1 damage away from being destroyed. And over to Nick for his play here.
Like a medium French vanilla or a candy cane hot chocolate.
So just a shout out to Board Game Central in Jackson Square in downtown Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you are in the area, they do. So far, they've been doing it every week since the game came out. They've been doing, I guess, since launch weekend. 3 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays, they do like a sealed or an Archon tournament. I don't know if they're going to start mixing in different formats, but just follow Board Game Central on Facebook or join the KeyForge Southern Ontario Facebook group if you're in Southern Ontario at all, anywhere from like Niagara Falls all the way up through Toronto to like London or Kingston, even that far. There's people posting in there, so if you're looking for players in any of that area in Southern Ontario, join the KeyForge Southern Ontario group. Find players, find events. Store owners are in there posting their events. It's a great little community we got going in there. So we got the Twin Bolt emissions. It's going to deal 2 damage to a creature and 2 damage to another creature. So the Terror and the Urchin.
Yeah, it gets around elusive. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, the Terror and the Urchin are destroyed off that. And he almost forgot the Amber. Like I said, it's a teaching game, so I'm going to try to remind him every time I can. Take that amber first. That should be the first thing you do on the card. And we got Dexter coming into play. He's going to capture one, so I throw one of my amber on him. And the other thing you'll notice he's doing, it's a pet peeve I have, since the rules state it. A creature should come into play exhausted. But he keeps putting them into play readied. And I know I've stated that in a previous video. That's something I saw in the first few weekends of tournaments. Lots of players that are just putting cards into play ready and trying to remember which ones were there already and which ones they put into play. But I eventually start correcting him there. So he's got remote access and action coming out of Logos. And he's using my Dominator Bauble. So there, I correct his creatures. I exhaust the ones that came into play this turn. So I'm letting him know he can use Dodger or that Lupo creature to use them, so he can reap or fight with them.
So I'm gonna. Oh no, it's a play effect.
So the skirmish, though, remember when he attacks, he doesn't take the damage back. So kill whoever.
Yeah, so I can still. I'll fight.
So he's going to destroy this Terror in a fight with Lupo, who's got skirmish, so it doesn't take any damage back. And I'm exhausting his cards. So if that bothers you, close the YouTube window now and walk away slowly. Do not rage and start slamming your keyboard.
Okay, so ready up your stuff.
This is an action. So this
Oh yeah, that's
And the argument for people to say you shouldn't be touching your opponent's cards, both players, in all the card games I've played, there's always in the rules it says both players are responsible for like a valid board state. At least in the tournament rules, usually that's in there. So if I need to ready a card or exhaust a card of my opponents that should be in that state, I will do it. I guess you could tell your opponent, but I just do it and then make sure they're okay with it. But I know it bugs people though, so I try not to do it too much. But. So here we go. We got Pawn Sacrifice. I'm going to sacrifice a Dust Imp. Nice little strategy there. I get 2 amber off him being destroyed. And then I can throw 3 damage at 2 different creatures. So I'll go with the 3 damage guys on the right and left, and I'll take the amber captured off Dextre. But he doesn't put him on the top of his deck. We both missed the destroyed, which should have put him on the top of the deck. And I'm just explaining poison here. If the poison creature gets a damage through at all during a fight, the other creature will die. Good old Moon Cruiser. And Silvertooth coming into play ready. And he's going to do a reap. So it puts me up to 9. So one thing I knew during the game, he's got shadows. He's at very low amber. I'm going very high. I'm setting myself up for a dirty bait and switch. But I was kind of hoping he had that card and he'd get a chance to do it. Just to see how the game can swing. And you're never always out of it. But he has shadows in general, so he's got lots of steel. So that's another reason why you might go up higher than 6 anyway. But looking at it now, watching this game, that's something I normally shouldn't be doing against a shadows deck is, you know, gaining up to 9 amber when your opponent's sitting on 1. You're just setting yourself up.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and then you steal 1.
So he uses Relentless Whispers, gains an amber. He destroys a creature and steals 1. So he should be at 2 amber there, gain, but I think he missed an amber there off Relentless Whispers. So he's going to do a second one.
Oh, and I get 1.
Okay, so remember the amber off the first one, so he gets another amber and should steal another one. So I think he should be at 5 amber. I think Nick missed an amber right there, to be honest. Just looking at it now. So there, he threw in a Dodger. A Dodger should be exhausted, and the other Dodger... The other Dodger, he asked if he could fight with him, but you can if there's no creature on the other side of the board to hit. So he's just going to reap there. It makes sense, gain some amber off it anyway.
Amber gets you keys, right? So
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's all I can do. I tried to stop it.
So ready up his card there. And then I go to Forge a Key. That's for 6. So second KeyForge. He still hasn't forged a single key, thanks to my dirty Shadows cards. So it sounds like I'm going Untamed here.
Let's play this for the amber. It's if I use
So Stampede, I have to use 3 or more creatures in a turn, and then I get to steal 2, I think, or something like that. The only problem is in this deck, I only have 3 untamed creatures at all, so I've never ever seen all 3 of them out on the board to be able to use. So that's kind of a troll card in my deck, but at least I get an Amber off it, so it's not bad.
Ready them up at the end of your turn.
And a Nocturnal maneuvers there to exhaust 3 of his creatures, get an Amber off that, and then a Regrowth. So I'm going to get a creature out of my discard pile, get an Amber off playing this action. It's one of my favorite actions in the game. And Taliga is going to come back into play and be annoying, which I just threw into hand there, and she's in play. The only problem is he could usually kill her, but with that exhaust card, I was able to exhaust his creature, so it's going to be a... Unless he has some direct damage, it should be a pain in his butt for a bit. And then I play Life Web just to get an Amber off it. He didn't play 3 or more creatures on his last turn, so I can't steal 2. And then we see him looking at Cooperative Hunting in hand, reading what it does, and realizing he can easily blow Taliga away.
So these aren't readied up yet.
Nope, not till the end of your turn yet.
So I'm at 5 Amber, and so is he.
So then I will name. Let's go with Untamed.
So he's going to go Untamed, of course.
Destroy Taliga. Yeah, destroy Taliga.
Yeah, he's going to do it. Destroy Taliga, Cooperative Hunting.
All goes to her.
3 damage, all on her.
Unless you'd like to divvy it around amongst your guys. That's cool.
Yeah. I can't split. I guess I'll play this for the Ember. Or 1 Ember, but.
So Vigor's the one to heal up to 3. You get to gain an extra Amber. He's just going to play it for the Ember, since no one's damaged.
So now you're on a key.
And then I'll play another Lupo, but it's
So his second Lupo,
Damage to it. Yeah, it makes sense.
and then
and he can't do the play off him. It's deal 2 damage to an enemy creature, so obviously there's no enemy creature, so no 2 damage dealt there. And he is now on check. And I have no creatures on board. So he's slowly building up a board here, and if I put any bodies out, he's going to be able to start fighting and stealing using 2 Dodgers there. And that is my fear. That he'll slowly crawl his way back into this one.
Let's go. I'll name Dis.
yeah.
I will throw this guy into play. Your opponent
So here's the Ember Imp. Yep, the opponent can't play more than 2 cards while he's around. And a Stealer of Souls, who I gain 1 if anyone's destroyed fighting him.
I'll gain 1 Amber. Or if someone's destroyed fighting him. So I guess it works even the other way.
Yeah.
And then I will do this one.
And the Screaming Cave. I'm going to shuffle this card and my hand back into my deck. Looks like I'm just not happy with what else is in my hand. And I want to get some of those cards back that I've already played.
6 cards in a second.
And still, at this time, I remember playing Screaming Cave. I wasn't sure when to actually use it. It just seemed kind of a weird card to be in the deck. But,
And you'll forge a key.
I mean, if you want to get those routine jobs going again, that's a quick way to do it.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sort of quick, I guess, if you draw into them. But I would assume it's better if you have a lot of cards in play, then your deck's smaller and you're better odds of seeing those cards again. But I only have 4 in play, so it's not the greatest. So 32 cards just shuffling back up, but
Don't know if this card works, so I'll try this turn out and go.
so I think this is where he has a question about key charge.
But all I'll do.
He just wasn't sure how it was going to work, so he's like, I'll try it out. And I definitely let him take it back, of course. And this isn't the first time I've had this asked about key charge. This was the second tournament I went to where somebody had a question about it.
You get 2 Amber.
So I get 2 Ember, right?
So he's going to try to reap with the Lupos, get 2 Amber, then play key charge.
Oh, okay. So if you would play it, you'd have to lose 1, so you have to.
Yeah.
But then this part is, if you do, you may forge a key at current cost. Current cost is 6 right now.
So its current cost is the trouble that people have. They just don't get the current cost. I've had one guy ask me about it, and he thought it was, you know, if he lost one, he had 0 Amber left. He thought the key was free.
So the key, that's why it says current cost.
So I'm just explaining current cost to him here. So
Keys cost +2. So that
I
means-
definitely let him take this back, and he names a different house. I remember this.
Yeah, undo it, whatever.
'Cause I just didn't know the wording on the card.
Like I said, it's a teaching game, guys. Teaching
So in
game.
that case, name's Shadows.
Okay.
And then I will play. I think this has some wording to some positions. Shadow Shell.
So Shadow Self will come into play. He doesn't deal damage when fighting. And if you fight any of his neighbors or deal damage to any of his neighbors, it all goes on to Shadow Self.
Automatically goes to him.
Yeah.
Even if it's like damaging from fight or from actions or whatever, it all goes on him until he's gone.
Yep, exactly. So
Oh, that's sweet.
that's why I wanted to try
He
to
is very
position
good.
it like that. And then on top of that, for his other neighbor, I'm going to put an Urchin.
So we got an Urchin coming into play stealing, so he's slowing me down even more.
Yep, Amber out. Comes into play exhausted. 2 cards you can play, unless you get rid of him. But obviously,
Yeah, so it's
Reminding him about the Ember Imp that he can totally smash in the face with a Dodger.
with both, so fight in one turn.
so you'll take
Trying to make
2
sure we're
back.
following the rules correctly here.
This one, if it fights this, does that go on the damage on the Shadow Self?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So deal no damage.
Yeah, so his question was, if you use Dodger to fight, would the damage from Stealer of Souls come back on Dodger, or would it hit Shadow Self? And
So I fight with
we know it hits Shadow Self. If I'm incorrectly, comments in the YouTube comments below.
You'll
Let me
take
know
2
if I'm
damage
completely
back.
wrong, but I think that's how it works.
And then you will steal 1, so I'll get rid of
So
1.
Dodger killing an Ember Imp there, taking 2 damage and stealing 1. That seems
Here,
efficient.
you're fighting here.
And then we got Dodger fighting Stealer of Souls.
5. So I will take 5 damage, and then he will take 6 back. Yeah.
And Stealer of Souls 1 damage away. Shadow Self will take the 6 full back that would have hit Dodger and killed him, but Shadow Self taking the hit for him, which is cool.
yeah.
And he steals another 1, so I'm down to 2 Amber.
Okay, that was good.
1, 2, 5. These already up afterwards. I
Yep,
after fighting.
100%. Yep. So interesting. Okay.
So did I draw into any of those cards that allow me to... oh, he only played 2 creatures, actually. So that's the problem with that card. That you need your opponent to play 3 creatures and you can steal 2. I forget which one that is. See if we can find it here. Life Web. If your opponent played 3 or more creatures on the previous turn, steal 2. You'd be super surprised that that rarely ever happens. I mean, maybe I play a creature-heavy deck, but I find I play in that deck a handful of times. It's yeah, I think it only hit up once, and at the time it hit once, I had 2 of them in hand, which was pretty sweet to steal 4 and gain 2 amber, 1 off each of the cards. But other than that, it's usually just get pitched for 1 amber. I never want to hold on to it, waiting for my opponent to play 3 creatures on a turn. And the annoying part is when I have cards like that Ember Imp in there that's limiting my opponent only playing 2 cards per turn. It kind of goes against that anyway. So it's kind of silly. Sometimes you find decks with anti-synergy cards, and it's like, I don't know if they put them in there for a balancing mechanic or just to be annoying, but I have a few decks like that. I'm sure you guys have your stories out there of, like, you know, decks full of like 9 scientists, and you have that Curiosity card that like destroys all scientists. That one I find is funny.
Okay, let's do Untamed.
So I'm going to go Untamed, thrown in a Do Fairy that has Reap, gain 1, and Elusive. And there's that Life Web I was just talking about. I'm just going to gain 1 amber off of it. Throw it in the discard.
Let's do destroy each damaged creature, and
Yeah.
I'll gain 1 chain. That means I draw 1 less card.
So save the pack, each damaged creature is destroyed. Not sure what the thought was behind that. I guess I was about to have a guy destroyed anyway and gets rid of a Dodger. But I gain a chain from it. It just thins his board out a little. I know this deck I'm playing, I don't really care too much about creatures. It's very creature light. I think it has like 12 or 10 or something creatures in it. So it kind of doesn't really care about that. I just wish it had a little more board reset than save the pack, but I don't think it has like Gateway to Dis or anything like that.
Good there.
And that's going to be it. So slow burn here. I'm having trouble with this 3rd key. Definitely all that steal he did last turn did hurt. He's not really running up the amber generation at this point, so I do have time, it looks like. And while we're waiting for the decision here on the house Nick's going to play, you guys should go over to twitch.tv/Rob's Gaming Table. That's where we live stream our casual Twitch matches and some other board game playthroughs. We archive most of them here on YouTube. Yeah, you guys go over there, follow us on Twitch, help us out. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to these videos and hit like. If you want to see more KeyForge videos, make sure you're liking all those KeyForge videos. And we got Witch of the Eye coming into play. She's amazing. You reap, you get to return a card from your discard pile to your hand on a reap ability there. She helps just cycle those juicy anything you want, like come into play effects, actions, important key cards to your deck. You can get them back in your hand, which is nice. And he's going to do a 2 reap there with each. He's going to reap twice. Sorry, with reap with each Lupo, gaining 2 amber is what I'm trying to say.
Alright,
Looks like that's going to be a decent on 5 amber. And he readies his cards. And it looks like I'm going to play a Relentless Whispers here, get an amber, and I'll hit the Archon so that I can steal 1. So 2 damage on the Archon, and then I steal 1 if it destroys him. Silvertooth again, I think for like the 3rd time coming into play ready here and doing a Reap. And a Seeker Needle.
Which is an action later. Deal 1 to a creature. If that damage destroys that creature, gain
I'm
1.
sitting on 6. And it looks like a check. He's going to have to do some shadow stuff, I'm sure, to steal it. Steal at least 1 from me or increase the cost of my key. So I don't know if I forgot my chain last turn, but I just remembered it there. I think I may have forgotten it a turn there. I'm sorry, guys, if you're screaming at me. But we did correct it there on that turn. Yeah, because I did it last turn. I think from Save the Pack, I should have drew 1 less last round. So I'm letting him know it's a big check here, the final check. He has to stop me or it's over. And he's got to pick shadows. He fights with Silvertooth. He steals 1, of course. Killing Silvertooth. Dodger will take 2. Silvertooth is not elusive like most other little shadows weenie creatures. And that's going to be it. That's all he could do, but he had to do it to stop the game from ending there. And now we're to my turn, so I'm going to do Untamed, Nocturnal maneuvers there to gain an amber, and I'm going to exhaust 3 of his creatures. I'll do the Witch of the Eye first for sure. She's super powerful. Dodger, I don't need him stealing anymore, and I'll take one of those Lupos down also. And Taliga's there again. And I just get 1 off the Stampede since I don't have 3 creatures to use in play.
I really like Taliga's art. That would be a neat thing there.
Oh yeah, true.
And it looks like I got a Regrowth in hand.
Regrowth, I'll gain an amber.
I'll get the amber off it. I was kind of debating not playing it there. I'm just worried about the bait and switch, that kind of thing. But I feel I just got to go and gain as much amber as possible in case he does have little like one-off steal effects. And no, I couldn't read my opponent's deck list on his Archon card from there, on his identity card. My eyes aren't that good. So I didn't know if he had bait and switch or not. I guess I could look the deck up if I can read it. I can't really read it from here either. Pretty sure I took a picture of the deck. I should know the deck, but so I'm trying to explain to him anything. If he can get me to lose some amber, capture it, steal it, anything like that to stop me. But I'm definitely on check here with 8. I've exhausted 3 of his creatures, so it prevents him from using any. So a Bouncing Death Quark here. He's going to start destroying a friendly creature, destroying my creatures, and repeat it. So he's going to repeat it twice with the Lupos. I don't think he should have done it with the 1. Oh, he's named Logo, so I guess it doesn't matter. I was going to say leave the Lupo ready, but so Lab Work will get him an amber. He's going to archive a card.
It's kind of like an extension to your hand, right? Where you're just
basically you're storing them away face down. You can look at them anytime.
So just explaining archive to my opponent here. But I'm not sure if there's anything you can do, but we're still playing it out just to make sure. So he shouts Mother and throws the Mother into play, and that's it. So thanks a lot to Nick for playing, and we move on to the next one. Coming up, we got another video here from this tournament. Then I got a bunch of other tournaments where I got videos from. At least 3 or 4 other tournaments, plus I'm going to a couple this week. So if you want to see more KeyForge on the channel, more commentated tournament videos, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that alarm bell button beside the subscribe button to be notified when the next videos go up. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next one.